Justifies the means.
Well, I think we've been quite used to Liverpool going ahead in the first half and usually winning the game by the time the second half has started. So I can see why people are getting a bit of itchy feet. And funny enough, I watched this game through Twitter because I had a match myself, and I could see, the way I read it and then the way I watched the game back, it was two completely different games. The way the first half, people were like, oh, getting frustrated, annoyed that we weren't, slicing them up at will. And then I watched the game and Watford had one shot the whole game, one decent chance the whole game. Liverpool did allow them to do anything. And so I think to a certain extent, fans do jittery. It's almost too good to be true. But I think it's time to realise that it is true. Liverpool are an absolute dominant force. Outside of the top 4 games, Liverpool will dominate and not even allow other teams to touch them. It's only a matter of time before we score goals. Our forwards are too good not to score in at least one game. It doesn't have to be 3, 4, 5, 6 goals.
Exactly.
Look at that number. We don't have to score that many goals to get a point we did last season against Watford. So it's a completely... I enjoy this Liverpool. They're killers. They're absolute killers.
Yeah, man, it is. It's getting them. I suppose, but you always have the comparison to Manchester City. Even during the match yesterday, City were a few goals. Sure, we're only fucking ill, and we end up winning the match 3-0. It's a case of having patience, isn't it? And there is only it's only 2 points in it, is it? I mean, that's absolutely that's fuck all, man. Do you know what I mean? So what's it's very hard to understand why there's any panic or even why people are insistent on picking out negatives when the positives outweigh the negatives massively, man. But listen, if you want to find fault in anything, you'll find it. But I like what you said, Kate. I think just enjoy it, man. Enjoy it while it lasts. We had 30 years of fucking shit. You know what I mean? What do you think, Chris?
And who we're competing against?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nilo, if we, I mean, it's all about sort of progression with this team, isn't it? And we're evolving, and I think some fans or some people are struggling to see the progression, sort of the evolvement. I mean, look, I think Klopp's doing an amazing job, Nilo, overall. I mean, I'm not just talking about this season, but sort of in terms of how he's evolved this team, where it started from. He gave us glimpses of sort of amazing heavy metal attacking football, but then also that was sort of, that also was balanced with awful defending, sort of shitting ourselves every time there's a set piece. I mean, yesterday, considering I've just talked about there were 11 basketball players out there against us, Nilo, right? We weren't troubled by a set piece at all. And that's amazing, sort of, not only sort of Van Dijk. I mean, I know everyone says Van Dijk has changed everything, and, he's changed a lot of it, right? But not only that, but just sort of tactically, this high line that we play on set pieces now, it's very hard to sort of coach and organise, and we've got it down to a T. Yeah. The amount of times we left the likes of Troy Deeney frustrated and offside, it was brilliant to watch. I mean, we were actually watching sort of, the likes of Hendo and VVD organising the line and making sure everyone's sort of in line, picking up what not to be done. And it's all down to sort of the coaching side of Klopp, where people kind of underrate him. That we often talk about he's just a hugger and a high fiver and a a motivator, but there's method to his madness, and it's so evident now. It's we actually felt comfortable. I mean, I know it was 0-0, and Keith and you sort of said that we weren't panicking, but he's right. I mean, the kind of forwards we have, right? We just need to be solid, and we are solid now. So even if they're having a shit sort of game, we know they'll create 2 or 3 opportunities and chances that will kill the game, and it kills the opposition when we score first now, because they know, fucking hell, man, these guys are bloody hard to not score against, but create chances against.
Marty, tell me this: did you not think before the start of the match yesterday, it had a little bit of a stink of Red Star away off it? It was kind of after what happened over there. This could be a repeat performance of that unless we got our shit together, and I think that's where some of the why people were getting so concerned after the first half that this looks like we could be getting into the shit here again, but we turned it around. Do you think it's a fact that we learned from what happened in the Champions League and we've progressed and moved on from there, or what do you think?
Is that Marty?
Yeah, Marty. Yeah.
I didn't see a similarity. Yeah, I didn't see similar. Star game. The Red Star game, nobody looked at the races. We were conceding chances, and you could just, by the Sturridge sitter, you can see if we don't get our shit together here. And yesterday, to me, it looked like a calculated performance. We were moving the ball side to side, keeping them moving, switching the ball. There was no sort of incisive final third passes, but there looked like there was a plan. Against Red Star, it looked like we were missing some key players. We were going to concede at any moment, and we just looked a complete shambles. But I completely, I think, Grizz has summed it up perfectly. Defensively, we're just so good at the moment that when we've got our strongest 11 on the pitch, you can look at these games against Red Star and go, it was a one-off. Had a couple of players that had come in that weren't quite firing. Obviously, we had Daniel Sturridge was playing. A couple of the back four didn't look quite right. But before in seasons gone by, you would think, here we go again. The old Liverpool are back. But they're just one-offs, these games against Red Star, where we're not quite at the races. Every team will have them. City got beat at home by Lyon. No one saw that coming. It does happen when you make some changes. And yesterday, I think people kind of jump into conclusions at half time because City were 3-0 up in the other game. It doesn't matter. It was a calculated performance. It was a good performance, and we wore them down. I didn't see anything that caused any cause for concern at half time or full time or after 10 minutes or anything. It's just people seem to have this obsession with comparing everything to City at the moment. And City were playing West Ham, we were playing Watford. It's two different games, and they scored 3 goals in the first half. We scored 3 in the second. So it's just people need to just relax, trust in the system, trust in Klopp, trust in the players, and we're going places. It's that simple.
It's do you know what the thing for me was as the half wore on, you could see Liverpool working out Watford, and Watford plan will probably be first 20 minutes to get involved with us, make it a battle, try to get ahead, see how long they could hold out for and frustrate us. But we seem very good at getting through these 20 minutes and then taking control. And the last 7-8 minutes of the half, you start to see Liverpool come into their own, make chances. Mane has one, Salah has a header. Keith, for you, was it a sign of things to come, the close out of that first half? And we a little bit disappointed we didn't go in 1-0 up, because a lot of the time you can build up a head of steam towards the end of the first half, and if you don't take that chance, it can kind of come back to bite you when the second half comes, because the opposition gets their 15 minutes to recover and make plans for what they've seen in the last 10 minutes of that half, I suppose.
To a certain extent, it may have probably benefited Watford if we went 1-0 up, because it would have given impetus. I think the fact that we went in 0-0 at the break, by the time we come out for the second half, it felt like it was only a matter of time before we scored. And again, Manchester City, we're comparing ourselves to our 13-14 to Manchester City's. They are on a different planet. And, we want to end every half 2-3-0 up like they do pretty much against every single team they play. But the reality is, we are going to have to...
Bar us.
Huh?
Bar us. Every team they play, bar us.
Yeah, but that's the yardstick, though, isn't it? Manchester City is the yardstick at the minute.
I think
that's all you can measure yourself off, isn't it?
For results. See, I think they're the yardstick for results. Within the games, I'm happy with us winning 1-0.
Good point.
It's beating those teams that we have. That's what we have to keep up. Doesn't matter about how many goals.
Yeah, man.
That's probably why the Arsenal result was a sucker punch a little bit, because Man City beat Arsenal, we didn't, and we have to kind of go out. We have to kind of compare results like that. But that we're going to score eventually. Mo Salah has won us at least 6 to 9 points this season just by scoring either the first goal or the only goal. We have enough players to score when it matters. So, it's the only worry that I have this season with Liverpool is if Manchester City completely whitewash the top 4 and we don't do the same. That is the only fear I have. Anybody below the top 4, Liverpool will match the results every time.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But let's get into the second half. Marty, for me, one player that stepped it up in the second half. Now, we're going to get on to the more obvious people. But for me, Wijnaldum was one that I think his level went up in the second half. He seemed to be more involved. There was more intensity about him. And I think that helps. I think that helps the whole team, but especially the forward lads, because with Wijnaldum doing that a little bit more in midfield, it's given the forward lads, I suppose, less responsibility to come deeper and try create something. Do you know the kind of way they're getting the ball that little bit further up the park? I would have liked to see a change in midfield at half time, to be honest, but we carry on in the second. We carry on from the first whistle of the second half, and we start to look more and more dangerous. Do you agree with the Wijnaldum thing? And did you see Firmino starting to grow a little bit more into this role as the half progressed?
I was actually just about to say, I thought Wijnaldum was good, but for me, I thought Bobby was the one that really turned up in the second half. He was dropping. Sometimes with Bobby, he drops deep and he can look a little bit lost. He will try and do something in a silly position and get caught, or he'll play an aimless pass. And I think yesterday in the second half, for the first time this season, we saw Bobby take up those deep positions and kind of look like the killer that we know he is. He picked it up. He was making incisive, quick passes. And then you look at the first goal. That pass, that is such an underrated pass to Mane. He has got such a narrow channel to play that in between two defenders, and it is inch perfect. And when he's on song like this, and then you saw the confidence flowing with Bobby when he starts doing the tricks and putting it through the defender's legs. You think Bobby's turned up today. And when he plays, Liverpool play well. It's that simple. He is so important to our system, whether he's in the false nine or he's dropping deep. And with Wijnaldum, I agree. I thought Wijnaldum was really good yesterday. He offers a dimension, and I don't think any of our midfielders offer, in respect that he can play that number 6 so well. He's got the energy to get back. He's got really deceptive strength as well for quite a small guy. And he's also got the technical role that he could also play in the 10 as well, which you see quite a bit for Holland. He can finish, he can take a man on. He's got a bit of pace. And he's very good at the transition because he can pick the ball up and he can carry it forward. But I think they all kind of turned it on in the second half. I thought Mane was good. I thought Robertson was excellent down that left-hand side. I thought Trent was really good. Henderson as well. I don't think anyone in the second half really had a bad half. They all seemed to kind of switch on and speed their play up, speed the passes. It was more incisive, more meaningful. And we just looked. It was just a very, very good half of football by Liverpool. Even when we went down to 10 men, we still looked. We didn't give them anything. He still looked in control, and then obviously went and got the goal. So I thought we were brilliant. I thought everyone was excellent in the second half.
Yes.
Okay. Grizz, the second half of the game against Fulham, a lot of people commented that this looked like Liverpool getting back to their fluid kind of best, and there was signs of it starting to, as people like to say, clicking. But was this more evidence of it yesterday? I think we, like I said, I think we walked them out first half, but this second half, is this another step to what you were at the game? To you, watching the game from, literally pitch level, did this look like another step towards the team being at not their fluid best, but getting there, as opposed to the way they were played, say, a month, 6-8 weeks ago?
That second 45 minutes was the closest we've been to getting there, so to speak. I would disagree about sort of the midfield and Gini. I thought him and Henderson were far too safe. The only criticism would be, I thought off the ball they were fantastic, cutting off their passing lanes, pressing them, defensively covering, sort of when Robertson and Trent went forward. Off the ball, they were A1. On the ball, Gini and Hendo struggled yesterday. Yes, Gini picked it up in the second half. I will agree with that. And I will also say, agree with you guys when you talk about Bobby. Bobby really came into his own in that second half. And he wasn't dropping deep, Gav, for the sake of just dropping deep as a sort of formation to keep the shape. He was actually dropping deep and making an impact on the ball every time. And that was what was missing. Marty refers to the actual goal where he plays that ball into Mane, who in fact was also brilliant in that second half. And there was a notable difference in the way Mane played as well, Gav, in the second half. And I've definitely picked up on this. Do you know where we usually associate Mane to being such a good footballer, and that he drops deep and he sort of comes central and he starts making the play, almost like doing another Firmino or what Shaq does? Well, either it was Klopp or it was Mane's own intuition. Basically, he stuck to that left wing, and he let Bobby come in. Bobby dropped deep, and Mane just sort of stayed wide, and he was causing that right back awful problems. In fact, I think all the goals, or two of the goals, came from Mane's side and Mane's runs, and so he was getting in behind the defence, which we weren't doing in that first half. Everything was to feet, everything was safe, everything was simple. So, you know, in that second half, Bobby finally woke up from his slumber. And it bodes well, Gav. It bodes well because, you know, Mo's still scoring. Mo carried on scoring. Mo's getting accustomed to this number 9 role, and we have to get accustomed to it. I think the future, it seems as though Klopp has not shoehorned Shaqiri into the team, but sort of tried to put as many weapons as he can, as many of his weapons as he can on the pitch whilst keeping the formation, you know, sort of a decent shape. So I think this is the way to go forward, and it bodes well for me.
Okay, Neil, have you anything on that?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing to add. That was fucking perfect.
Yeah. Do you not think it was a bit long?
It was like a soliloquy.
Did you not think he was a bit long?
It was like a lullaby.
You liked it?
I switched off halfway through, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got a script. I was just reading off the thing. I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, if it's not a great one, mate, you want to sack the script, right?
Oh, fuck it.
Listen, no. Let's get on to the goals because I want to go on to the Henderson red card, and I want to have a look towards Wednesday as well. First goal, we've touched on it there with Firmino getting involved, but Marty. Firmino gets involved, he plays Mane in, Mane plays the Salah scores. That is so satisfying because it's the three of them linking up, and, you know, one good pass splits them, a second good pass puts someone in, and it's not the best of finishes, but it's on target and it goes in. So, but to see those three lads linking like they did a hell of a lot last season, that's another good sign as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's so satisfying. It took me a minute to realise. I thought, hold on a minute, yeah, Firmino, Bobby, Salah, old times. It was so good, and it seemed like that second half in general, and then you saw the goal, was kind of the eureka moment for all of them. Like, Chris found it out really well. You had Firmino dropping deep, meaningful as well, not just dropping deep because he's been told to. He knew what he was doing. Then you had Mane that was keeping left with chalk on his boots, like the old type, you know, the old star wingers. And you had Mo who was like coming in from the right, like he did last season. And it just had that flow about it. It didn't seem forced. It was just quick. One pass, another pass, bang, goal. And it was just so good to watch. And then you saw after that first one went in, it was just, we looked every single time that we went forward, dangerous. And, you know, I think the front three, I think it's just, you kind of go back to the beginning of the season, we're kind of thinking, oh, you know, why is it, you know, not quite far in? They all look, there's confidence, like any player. Once they start clicking and goals start going in like it has been, they look lethal again. And I think all the goals, I loved them for different reasons. I mean, the first one was just, as you said, you know, all three combined, and it was just a really good goal. The second one was just, it was world class. I mean, I saw Grizz seeing it, you know, obviously live as well. It looked special. You know, Trent, he's been threatening to do that for a few weeks. He's got such a good set piece on him. And then you look at the third one. The third one was just brilliant because we were down to 10 men. It was towards or in the 90th minute. And then you just see Robertson just put the afterburners on.
Is he taking all these 3 goals in one go?
He's grand, because we don't look to labour the points, you know what I mean?
Okay,
I have to go in 5 minutes, Gav. All I want to say is we're going to fucking batter Everton this weekend. Fuck them!
I was getting it out of the way so we could do Henderson Trent.
Yeah, dead right, man. Just rush over it. Otherwise, Grizz will go on for an hour and a half about to trade him.
And that's why I'm having a sip of water.
There'll be people falling asleep all over the country.
And then, yeah, the third one was just, I was just buzzing for Bobby. I think he needed that. Big time. But yeah, Robertson, Mane was unlucky, and it was just really good counter-attack. And obviously you saw Klopp at the end giving it the old counter-attack.
What about the free kick, lads? What about the free kick?
Brilliant. All of them were brilliant.
Chris, I want to give you the free
What about
kick.
the free?
Well, as soon as the free kick was given, I was, you know, I promise you guys, I didn't bring out my phone during the game. I was concentrating on the game because I knew we got an important pod that I got to analyse the game as on the live game.
Right, yeah. Must have been quite
So
a sauce.
I didn't bring out the phone. I didn't bring out the phone until that free kick was given, and there was a reason. And there's a reason I'm ITK, because I knew Trent's going to be all over this and pop this in the top corner.
He's actually said that with a straight face.
He's a wanker.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Right, so
Unreal.
basically, right,
We
as
love
soon
him,
as that ball's put down, Trent runs over and it's amazing.
And he looked up at you, Gears, didn't he? He gave you a little wink. He said, "This one is for you, Gaffer."
Hear me out. It sent. I was smiling inside the way he sort of is allowed to sort of take free kicks as a kid. So you got Mo there, you got Bobby there, you got the likes.
Come here, man. I agree with you there. Do you not see a little bit of Steven Gerrard in him with the arrogance?
Confidence.
I know it's probably a big weight to hang on his back, but he has that air of arrogance about him that Gerrard had at that age. I'm on this.
Do you know? Not probably none of you probably. Or Marty is actually a very avid England fan. He probably saw the international where he scored. The last game.
Yeah.
And I said at the time, we hate comparisons and whatnot, but that strike was reminiscent of many of Stevie G's strikes.
Yeah.
Right? The way he connects, the way he strikes. And, as soon as that free kick was given, the way he commanded sort of seniority and everyone said, you're the man. I mean, Virgil's known to smack a free kick as well, apparently. But apparently in training, Trent's lethal. And it showed the respect that everyone else had of him, even though he's a kid. They said, it's all yours, Trent. And I'll tell you what, the confidence, Nilo, it was almost like, do you remember what's that Cristiano Ronaldo, the way he stands over free kicks? And
what's that geezer who scored 1,000 goals? What's his name again?
Pele.
That geezer. So, I mean, the way he popped that into the top corner was beautiful. It was actually reminiscent of, I'm going to go back now. Do you remember Stevie G scored in the last minute against Aston Villa? And put one in the top corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Gantos, I don't remember last weekend.
It was a thing.
2007-8.
That's right.
Fernando Torres' first game it was. I think.
Gav's mad with history.
Isn't he? If it was only true. We've no way of checking that. That could be absolute pants.
I think it was.
Gav's got a proper memory.
I think it was Torres' first game for Liverpool.
It was indeed.
I think Gareth Barry got a penalty for Villa near the end. And Gerrard bangs it into. It was actually a free kick that Gerrard wins. It wasn't even a free kick. I think Petrov took him down. Am I getting to you, Nilo? Am I getting
Sorry.
Go on, Grizz. Go
you
on.
had me at hello.
Now you're just showing off, Gav.
No, just remember, I seen it on LFC TV today. That's all. Go on.
You subscribe, Gav?
Yeah.
No, that's it. I've said my piece. So go. Yeah.
All right. Keith, you're back. You've disappeared. You've come back. You've made 3 comebacks in the last 40 minutes. Fair play to you.
Like Lazarus.
The third goal I'm going to give you, Keith. Andy Robertson. He shows everything about him that's good. He's. Are you going?
Yeah, we'll have to go. Yeah.
You go.
Will you be started late?
Yeah, I know. Will you go?
Are we waiting on me?
Yeah.
No, we're going.
I know. Come on.
Listen, lads, I have to go. It's been a pleasure. It's been beautiful. All I want to say is we're going to stuff these the weekend.
Cheers, Nilo.
Okay. Now, the Robertson thing, everything about him, he's last minute of the game and he's looking to get forward. He's quick. He rides a tackle. He's honest and stays up when he could easily go down under the tackle. He gets in the box. It's a loose touch, Keith, and instead of giving up on it, you just slide tackles your man, and it goes to Mane, and but the goal is for Firmino. As Marty said, Keith, it's great to see him. It's great to see him get a goal, isn't it? I think that's his first league goal in 7 games, I think it is.
Yeah, first goal in 7. He definitely deserved it, especially for picking it up in that second half. I think what Firmino did so well in that game, which probably wasn't from an attacking sense, was put so much pressure. Whenever Watford picked up the ball in the midfield, Decore could not breathe because Firmino was on him 24/7. And if that's the way that Klopp's going to want to use him from now on, in terms of disrupting their midfielders who like to pass the ball around and like to take control of the game, then Liverpool are going to control every single one of these games because Firmino is going to be a thorn in their side. He deserved the goal for all his hard work. Robertson, the best left back in the league, cannot be argued.
World.
Even go wild right now. I mean, I think the way he seems to turn his technique on the pass is incredible. I saw one of Scotland's goals when they beat Thingy to qualify for the Nations League, and it was the build-up play, and the way he just fizzes it so low and hard with the left foot gives you so much more width that we've just not had in so long. We were crying out for this type of width when we were having to play James Milner there in Klopp's second season, and this is what everybody was crying for. Someone who was just naturally gifted on his left foot, be able to put a ball in. And, you know, I was kind of half hoping Sadio would finish. You know, it would have been nice for his contract signature, but, you know, he was involved in essentially 2 assists. So it just capped off a fantastic day for our forwards in particular. And yeah, onwards and upwards, man. Onwards and upwards for PSG on Tuesday, you know.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday, so I know we're going to talk about that soon, but I think this was the perfect game to go into that game, to go into the PSG game with.
Yeah.
Hey, Gav, he's just an Marty there and went into our next segment without permission.
Yeah, no, he doesn't need permission, Grizz. We all do whatever the fuck we want, when we want. That's how it works.
Except me.
Except you. Listen, come here. If you think you're walking under any sort of fucking rules now,
yeah, there's me going to
don't look.
There's me spending all afternoon doing an agenda, and you just fucking ruined it.
I'm through your agenda, and I'm on to the next piece now. Don't play the martyr with me, and look for the sympathy fucking vote with your fucking stupid hat. Come here. I think somebody touched on it a minute ago, and I'll go to you, Grizz, on it. Klopp really, really, really enjoyed that that last goal, didn't he? It's everything he lives for nearly, wasn't it? And I'm not good at lip reading, I'm going to be honest, but I'm presuming it was something along the lines of, oh, fucking yes, get in, what a fucking counter-attack, deadly, and then just, he's happy with that. He really looked happy, Chris, didn't he? He looked delighted, like.
Do you know what? It was just, it was a perfect Klopp goal. I mean, in terms of the speed of the counter, it was almost like the old Liverpool of his first couple of seasons. And you got to remember that we were down to 10 men. So we've just conceded a corner down to 10 men. They've got all their basketball players in the penalty area. We've broke on them from the edge of our box. And our left back, right? Our left back is out-sprinted their players to reach the byline, and we've got 3 against 1 with 10 men in the 90th minute. I mean, that is pure Jurgen Klopp. And if he's not going to get a boner over that, then, you know, he needs to go and sort of seek medical help, because that is Klopp. That is Klopp. He loved that shit, and he was so pumped up for it. It was almost like the Norwich scenes where sort of, you know, he celebrated on the sidelines. He actually enjoyed that goal. I mean, to be honest with you, at 2-0, last minute, you know, the game was dead as it is. So for him to celebrate a third, which was, you know, it wasn't a seal, it was just a sort of extra icing sort of, you know, on the top. And to see him celebrate, it shows how much that meant to him. And even the coaching staff, I thought it was another glimpse into sort of the Liverpool that is slowly coming back to force as an attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Lads, I'm going to touch on the Henderson red card. There's been an awful lot of varying opinions on it, I suppose. I'll give you mine first. You can agree, disagree, or you can, you know, go on what you've read, or whatever way it's going to come across you on social media and different things. Grizz, you probably got a reaction. You did probably get a reaction from people around you in the ground. But Jordan Henderson, he walks a tightrope with Liverpool fans. We know that, with regards to how does he play, what does he give, all this sort of stuff. It's tiresome at fucking times. But yesterday, the first one is a booking. The guy is hanging out of him, by the way. You know, he's hanging out, but he gets past Henderson, and Henderson is, you know, quite cynical in what he does. He takes the yellow. The second one, it's a little bit soft, but the only thing I would say is he's being warned on 2 or 3 occasions by the referee. The referee lets him clearly know, listen, you can't keep this up, because I will have to red card you. Klopp is trying to get Fabinho ready and get him on the pitch because he can see what's happening. Surely, I'm going to blame Henderson here. I am going to blame him, because Henderson, as a senior pro at Liverpool, should know they're going to hook me now in a minute, and I know the reason why they're going to hook me. Just stay out of that tackle. Just stay out of it. Let him go past you, and we have cover. And if he does something, he does something. But if he doesn't, the ball goes out, we get our sub on, and the danger's over. He can't play against Everton next week. Marty, for you, is it just one of those things, or is it one where, regardless of the player, you have to blame him? Because after the game yesterday, I said, look, it's a mistake, it didn't cost us, we move on. I stand by that. But in the context of it, he was wrong in what he does. I don't think there's much defence for him. We get away with it, but there's not much defence for him. Would you agree?
Yeah, with what you just said there, yeah, it's done now. It's done. He's been sent off. He's gonna serve his ban. It is what it is. But the problem is, as you correctly stated, Henderson is probably the one player that splits the Liverpool fan base more than anyone. We use the word agenda. It is tiresome. I agree. And people are unfortunately going to use this as a stick to beat him with. I certainly don't have a Henderson agenda. I think I like Henderson. I think he brings his own thing to the Liverpool team. I think we've missed him the past few weeks when he's been out. By all accounts, he's also a lovely guy off the field as well. So I have no problem with Henderson in any respect. But I tweeted yesterday when it happened, and I stand by it. I thought it was garbage. I thought it was stupid. He's a senior. He is one of the senior players. He's the captain of the club. And my reaction would have been the same if this was Henderson, Van Dijk, Lovren, Salah, any of them. We were 2-0 up. We were cruising in the game. He had been warned 2 or 3 times prior to that, and it was this most stupid tackle, and that could have put us in trouble. If we had conceded not long after that with 10 men, we could have been in trouble. It was no need. It was not a dangerous counter-attack that they were on. They were 3 stupid little fouls. He was gobbing off to the linesman, which got him a talking to, and he should know better. He should absolutely know better than that. And like I said, I would have that opinion if it was any player on the pitch. When you're 2-0 up, you are challenging for a league title. These are the things that can have an effect on you. And it sounds dramatic, but at 2-0, away to a team in an atmosphere like Watford, with enough time on the clock to concede 2, had we have been poor enough, it just isn't good enough for not even just the Liverpool captain, for any player at the club. You just don't do it. You should know better than that. You should go, okay, look, I've just been spoken to. I'm going to just sit back a minute, wait for the substitution. And like you rightly said, if the player had gone past, there was Trent, Lovren, Van Dijk, and there was so much cover, it was ridiculous. So, but I completely agree, it's done. We move on. He misses Everton, we get on with it. There's no need to use it as a stick to bash him with at all.
Yeah. Sorry, Grizz, do you know what I liked in the 2 yesterday after the game? And I know it's not exactly the same, but I was trying to think back on glaring mistakes that have been made this season and how have they cost us and stuff like that. And Alisson away to Leicester is one where he makes a glaring mistake. It doesn't cost us in the end. It costs us in the instance. It doesn't cost us overall. He learns from it. You see he's learned from it from that day onwards. I likened it to that, and that's where my comment, it's happened, it hasn't affected us, we move on. For you, in the ground, the minute he makes the tackle, you're thinking, or were you thinking before that tackle, he's going here? Because of these warnings he was getting and just his frame of mind he was in. Did you feel it coming before this actually happened?
Yeah, we did. I mean, look, how do we look at it? Are we asking, is he to blame? Of course he's to blame. Was he stupid? He was stupid. He's the England captain, he's the Liverpool captain, he should know better. Right? Absolutely no defending his action, right? But we've got to give it Gav? We've got to give it context. And
here we
go.
The
context of it is, Gav, he was in a fucking midfield battle for like 80 minutes or so, where Decore, Kapue and Will Hughes and the like were getting away with every tackle without a yellow card. I'm not denying that Henderson's were 2 yellow card offences. The second one was a bit soft. Some referees may have given him a final warning, right? I will say that. But look, once he's been warned, sort of once or twice, then yeah, he should know better, especially in the situation. But he was heated up, and he's fairly motivated as well. You've got the likes of Fabinho and Keita, right, looking to take your place as the Liverpool captain. Sorry, taking your place in the team, and you're the current Liverpool captain. On the ball, as I say, he wasn't great. But it's when you see him live, the amount of effort and running he does off the ball, covering left, right, and centre. And I think he did lose his rag. But the reason why I'm not worried one single bit is it's not a regular occurrence for him. I mean, how often do you see Henderson sort of get yellow carded for sort of losing his tempo or his rag? You don't ever see it, It's not an issue. If this was his second, third yellow card, sort of even in a season and a half, maybe whatever, you'd say, right, okay, this needs to be addressed. This needs to be a talking point. I have no idea why okay, it can be a talking point because we're discussing it now, but why it's a major point of discussion is totally beyond me. The guy made a mistake. As you say, it works out brilliant for us. Well, apart from that he misses the game, but in terms of, we know he's not going to do it again. We know he's not going to hamper the chances of Liverpool in a game by stupidly getting sent off like that. It just won't happen. He's too professional, just like Alisson. So, look, it's done with, he's got a red card, he will serve his punishment. That's it as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. It's because it's Henderson, Grizz, though, is it? It's because it's Henderson.
Well, it shouldn't be because it's Henderson. You should look at the incident and look at, forget who the player is, look at the incident and what the player has done and judge it on that. All right? Yeah, now, you'll have, he's missing for the Everton game next week. Some people might say, oh, great. Some people will be upset about it. Me, personally, I'd like to see him at the Everton game because he has experience in these games. He has more experience than Fabinho has. He has more experience than Wijnaldum has. He's more experienced than Shaqiri has. You know what I mean? So we're going in there with a little bit less experience in midfield, no matter what way you look at it next week. And midfield will be key next week against Everton, in my opinion.
Gav, I just want to jump back in before we go to Keith. But I just wanted to say, people often say, "What is an agenda?" Like, shut up. What's an agenda?
No, you see, Grace, I'm not going to discuss agendas against players.
No, I'm not going to discuss it. I'm just going to quickly make a point. But as we guys have just said, the fact that it's such a major talking point, right? In a 3-0 victory away from home, when your top striker, when all your strikers have clicked back into form, you've got so much positive things to talk about. To make this a major talking point reeks of an agenda.
No, will you see? It is a talking point, Grizz, because as Marty said earlier, if we turn around and have a poor 5 minutes, we're 2-1. With a crowd banging for us, we're down to 10 men, and Watford are quite good at being direct if they want to be. They have the physicality to do it, and we could have fell into a trap where we walk away with a 2-2 draw. And listen, this will be more than a fucking major talking point. This will be it, the only talking point. But the thing is,
you've answered your own question, but the fact that it's not, the fact that that wasn't the situation, the fact that we did go on to win it, shouldn't make it a major talking point.
Oh yeah, but I've said to you already. He done something stupid. We didn't suffer. All right, we suffer next week because he won't be available. We didn't suffer in the immediate aftermath. We move on. That's what you do. But we have to discuss what he done and how he done it and his thought behind it. That's a red card. You're going to discuss that. Keith, for you, it's definitely a red card all day. It's a second yellow because of the warnings he's got more than anything than the tackle itself. But do you think he'd be a big miss next week?
I think he will be a big miss. I think his energy in the midfield, his combativeness in the midfield is going to be needed next week because it's going to be a high pressure, high tempo game, and to a certain extent, with now the midfield likely looking like it's probably going to be Fabinho, Milner, and Wijnaldum, I think we are going to lose that little bit because I don't think James Milner is the best necessarily in his defensive duties in the midfield. I think he's a good workhorse and he's quite creative. Actually, doesn't get enough credit for that. But I don't think he's as good as shutting down the ball as Jordan Henderson is, and ultimately getting the midfield to press better. I think he can be seen to be wondering. Now, if Klopp doesn't go for Milner and goes for Naby Keita, then it could be Keita's time to shine, and this could actually be a blessing in disguise, or it could be a big game that passes Naby by, and he can be overawed by the opportunity. So we are going into risky territory here. The lads touched on it. I completely accept that Jordan Henderson deserved to get sent off. I thought he had a pretty good game. I think he's been having a pretty decent season despite all the injuries that he's had towards him. I think the agenda conversation and debate is definitely warranted because, as I said, I was watching the game through Twitter. So when Henderson got sent off, like, you see, like, when you watch it through Twitter, right, you see that red card, Jordan Henderson did it. It's the comments that come after it that create this kind of negative environment, like, oh, Henderson's such an idiot, blah 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 blah, and not surprising given he's our captain. This guy should be our captain. That guy should be our captain. The minute Jordan Henderson does something that's maybe slightly negative, and it's not often, but when he does do something out of place, he gets destroyed by our fan base. But you look at someone like Jorginho yesterday, he was getting absolutely destroyed as a holding midfielder in a big game. And this is the type of player that's supposed to be flashy and passes the ball left, right, centre, plays defence splitting passes every 5 minutes, and something that Jordan Henderson supposedly doesn't do. And you don't hear the same reaction towards him. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And they are, I'd actually go a step further comparing them to Jorginho and Jordan Henderson, great midfielders, haven't really won anything, haven't had that much of an impact in world football. Yet when one makes a mistake, it's a big thing. When another has a bad game and gets tear apart, you don't really hear too much conversation about it. And I think that lies your kind of agenda, if you will.
As I said, I'm not going to discuss the agendas against players because it's tiresome for me at the minute.
It's boring.
Yeah,
boring.
I'll listen. I'll criticise any player, no problem. I'll do it at the drop of a hat if I need to. But and I'll give players credit. That's just the way I watch a game. I'll give you credit. I'll lash it because of certain things. But that's where I am, and I'll just go from there, lads. Before we finish up, man of the match, Grays, I'll come to you first.
Oh, that's a tough one, Gav. You sure you want to come to me first?
Okay, I'll come back to you. Marty, man of the match.
So I'm gonna go Van Dijk. He was
just a stock answer, isn't it?
Yeah, he was just. It's so hard to look past him near enough every game. Even when we don't.
It's so hard to look past him as well.
Yeah. Some of the stats that came out after the game as well. He won every single aerial duel. He won every single tackle, and it's just he
so Dejan Lovren wasn't far off.
Confident. No, he wasn't. I thought Lovren was excellent as well, but I just think I got to go Van Dijk. I just think he's just every game. I just run out of words to describe the man. He's just majestic. I love him. So yeah, Van Dijk for me.
I heard somebody say, I think it was in a WhatsApp group today, he read and said he reckons Van Dijk could be worth anything up to 3 places in the league for us because of the way he performs. Not a bad show.
100%.
Could be right at the end, Nilo's back. Nilo's back. Come here, man of the match, Keith. For you, man of the match.
For me, I'm going to have to go for Firmino. I thought that was
how are you, lads?
His best performance in his new position so far. He didn't allow Watford's midfielders to do anything. Didn't give him any time on the ball, was just an absolute hunter, and got his goals and rewards, and pretty much got a hockey pass for Liverpool's for Mo Salah's first. So yeah, Firmino for me, absolutely great game.
Okay, I'll agree with you, Firmino. He opens them up with the pass for the first goal. He wins the free kick for the second goal, and he scores the third one. You can't go more than that. Grays, I've given you 3 minutes. You've had 26 hours to work it out.
It's like a fucking Oscar acceptance speech, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'd like to thank God, me manager, me fucking agent.
Grays, man of the match.
Yeah, you tried to change my mind with Firmino there, because he was class in that second half.
Here, his close control, Grays, is unreal, isn't it? Isn't it? It's as good. It's as good as you'll see anywhere.
You see that piece of magic you done with the touchline.
Yeah.
I've got a fantastic.
Come here. That's not showing off. That's just natural. That's what I mean to say. It wasn't. He didn't think I'm going to show off here and make a show of this guy. It's just completely natural.
Absolute brilliant point by Nilo. That wasn't done as a show off. That was actually done to get out of the situation that he was in. It was necessity, and it came naturally to him to do whatever you want to call that. What do you want to call that? Some hipsters got.
We just call it magic. We call it magic.
Samba Flair.
Bit of Paul Daniels.
Yeah. A bit of Debbie McGee.
Bit of Debbie McGee. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not Debbie and McGee.
It was actually quicker. It was like when you see it in real life, we didn't know what happened. Suddenly. So there was 3 players around him, and suddenly he was sort of striding away from them.
Come here, do you remember years ago at Old Trafford, Redondo done something very similar for Real Madrid out of nowhere?
Absolutely.
It's very similar to that. Yeah, it's what a player. Yeah. What a player.
I mean, so getting back to, before Gav starts saying, I'm
Don't
talking
mind, Gav.
forever. Getting back to the man of the match vote. Virgil van Dijk was out of this world, Gav.
He's man of this fucking century. Don't mind the match.
Nah, fucking hell, Nilo. That Troy Deeney is a very underrated footballer, in my opinion, right? And a couple of their players as well. But, he actually... Troy Deeney, do you remember when he came out and he started chatting shit about the Arsenal, about they don't fancy it and he can bully any centre-back and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'll tell you what, and give credit Lovren here as well, they actually bullied him into submission because Troy Deeney, first 15 minutes, he kept coming on to Lovren and Trent, think he can have some. But I'll tell you what, but after that 15, 20 minutes, he was totally anonymous. Lovren was an absolute monster, an absolute beast, and for me,
he's got a name on.
As you say, it's almost. We should rule him out of sort of man and match competitions from now on, Gav. Because he near enough wins it every week.
Come here, he can do it. Come here, he can do it all. He can do it rough. He has pace. He's on the ball. He's as good as any centre midfielder you're going to see. He's brilliant in the air. He's good looking. He's fantastic hair. He smells nice.
Especially in terms of, he hasn't got as good as hair as Keith. Many people will tell you that honestly. Keith is fantastic.
That is quite the growth.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But we talked about everything, and what you forgot though was his actual distribution, the way he switches the ball so casually to right and left.
Hey, come here. Everything is, like we're talking, Firmino is natural. Everything is natural with him. And it's just, even when he's on the ball, it's the calming influence he has across everybody. And we were saying about whoever's in partnership with him. I think the difference is other centre halves will say you were playing on the left or the right. You're playing your area. He plays the whole way across the back four. He plays in everybody's position, and that's why he doesn't get caught, and why other people look so good beside him, because he's playing his position and also playing their position and waiting for them to make a mistake. So he's like, for example, he'd be like a striker anticipating where the ball's going to drop. He's the exact reverse, but in a defensive capacity, if that makes any sense at all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Nilo, you came back because you had a question.
This is what I came back for, yeah?
Yeah, go on, ask.
I've kind of forgotten what it is now, Gav.
Well, hurry up.
No, do you know what it was? Yeah. Do you know what it was? Right, I was talking about the yardstick earlier with City and all that, right? Saying that's all we can measure ourselves against. They're the best team in the country in November, which is fucking useless. You want to be the best team in the country in March, April, May time, right? You want to peak then. But having said that, is second to City enough? Is losing in a final enough? Is getting to semi-finals enough and going on these long run, having the Anfield buzzing on Champions League nights and all that, but ultimately not winning anything? When does that become not enough? Are we at that point now? Do we need, like, the League Cup is gone, fuck it, we could have done with that. Do we need something tangible to hold on to now? Or like, is a cup run enough for us now? Is finishing second to the best team the Premiership has ever seen, is that enough? I have my opinion. I'm just wondering what you think, and including you, Gav.
Well, I'm going to give that to Keith first.
Go for it, Keith.
Personally, I would love an FA Cup win, just a trophy, just something to. We've been through a lot of emotional rollercoasters over the last ever since 2013-14 season, right? So you'd say the last 5 years have been awful.
Ever since I was born about 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years
reborn.
ago. Yeah.
Fucking reborn.
In 1989, when Grizz was born, same year as me.
It must be when he got christened. Not fucking born.
Christened. I'd like to, but at the same time, you have to accept that we've made so much progress in leaps and bounds, even to challenge a team that's essentially been financed by a country in ways that have been no other team has been able to.
My point is though, that becomes peripheral at some stage, right? When can we be satisfied? Like Liverpool, surely before the season starts, in Liverpool, it's about winning things. Surely it is. For me, I think it is anyway. I'm just wondering what your take on it is.
So far ahead of every single football team in the country, I don't think we realise just how bad the situation is. We can be romantics, and I'm sure that Liverpool are going to run them damn close. But that team right now is unstoppable. And if you separate Man City from the rest of the league looks a competitive league. There is a reason why Man City are so far ahead of everybody else. It cannot be ignored. They were financed in ways that nobody else could even imagine, and it's going to take a near miracle for us to keep up with them.
But listen,
if they decide that they want the FA Cup as well, it's going to stop them.
Yeah.
my opinion is that they're going to City win the league and the Champions League this year, right? But that's just my opinion. But
Not my opinion.
Well, listen, having said that, I'm just wondering what you, Marty, what do you think? Is second enough just because City are so good? Is losing the Champions League final enough because Real Madrid are so good? Like, when is enough enough?
Yeah, look, we haven't won a trophy since 2012. I think we have to be careful as fans. The one we want is the Premier League. We want that more than anything as fans, and I'm sure that's what Jurgen Klopp wants. But we also have to learn not to get so obsessed with winning the league that we don't look at the other competitions. Now, like you said, we've already got on the League Cup. We've got the FA Cup and the Champions League, and obviously the Champions League at the moment is looking very iffy. We've got a couple of tough fixtures to navigate. Having said that, there's one team that I believe can stop City in the league, and it's Liverpool. And the reason I say that is, I think it was Keith made a very good point earlier, that the league is going to come down to how we perform against the top teams, the top four or top three, however you want to say it. Now, Man City and Pep have got this obsession with Klopp and Liverpool at the moment. There's a really strange quote that was doing the rounds on Twitter about he was reading a book, and about reading a book, and he said, "Oh yeah," and then I started thinking about Klopp and Liverpool. Pep changed his system to play Liverpool at home. He never does that. Period. He never does that. So we are not a million miles away. Like, City will beat teams 6-7, perhaps even 8-0. If we can win these games that we're expected to win, perform well against the top four or the top six, and we can beat City or even draw against City at the Etihad, we are bang in there. And I think this season or next season, we should be looking at seriously winning the league. I think we need to get a trophy in the next couple of years. I think, it's been a project. Klopp's taken us really far. And this isn't to say if we don't win a trophy, Klopp needs to go. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think we need something, because I don't want to be a Spurs and be remembered for playing nice football. When Klopp moves on, the question will be, what did he win with Liverpool? And I think we need to say, look, he won this, a couple of FA Cups, anything really, any silverware. And if we go on and win the league, then he's going to be, the messiah of Liverpool. But I think we need something. I don't want to get so obsessed with the league that we end up coming to the end of Klopp's contract. We've come second best to a very good City side, and we haven't won anything else, because they will not win everything. They've got a good squad, but they will not win every cup there is.
You haven't, Grace. You haven't that.
I'll go last, will I?
Yeah, well, I'm not really listening to you. I'm turning your mic off.
No, I mean, I think we disagreed, me and Gav, earlier in the season, where we said, do we want a trophy? Should we play our strongest team in the League Cup, etc.? I'm a bit like you, Nilo, old. And
I'm a good Nick, though.
We remember our great club built on trophies. And, it's very important, that we keep that sort of tradition of actually winning silverware and keep adding to the trophy cabinet.
Otherwise you're just participating. I mean, surely you set out to win every match, to win every competition, surely.
Absolutely. Otherwise you're just the Spurs. As Marty says, you are just the Spurs. And so we don't want to ever fall into that trap. It will be amazing and it will be brilliant for Klopp as well, as reward for his sort of efforts and how he's transformed this club. Look, you made a point about sort of earlier on about City. Are we too obsessed with trying to match? We shouldn't be trying to match their style. As Keith said, we should be trying to match their results. It's very difficult. It's near enough impossible to match a team coached by Pep's style.
But come here, do you know what the irony is? If it came down to it and it was a playoff for the league between City and Liverpool, you'd fancy Liverpool all day long. I'd fancy us to beat them one-on-one when it really matters. I'd fancy us to get the result that we needed. But I don't know whether we can do it over the course of a season.
Well, you see, go on, Grizz, I'll let you finish, because it's very interesting, this question.
I've nearly finished now, bear with me.
I hope so.
Look, I'm saying to Nilo's question, when is the cut-off point? Where do we sort of almost demand a trophy? I think next season is sort of I'd be demanding some sort of way, especially with sort of the way FSG is building this squad. That would be like sort of that'll be 4 seasons with Klopp building his squad.
Klopp said he'll win it this year.
So do you know what I mean? I think next year we expect to give it a full effort in all the cups. But this season, my target initially was to keep progression. And if anybody can't see progression at the moment, football's not for them, definitely.
Gavla.
The desperation and the fear of failing in this league has been shown to me in the last 5 minutes in this conversation. Because, no, hold on, I'll tell you why, right? I've listened to you all, and you have talked about what's enough, what should we go for, etc., etc., etc. But it's all being caveated with, but they're really good and this thing. That's just a fear that's in you, all right? I'm telling you now that's a fear that's in you because you don't want to overcommit to the idea of, for argument's sake, like 13, 14, we were on the verge and it really hurt. And you don't want that to happen to you again. Subconsciously, that's what's happening. With regards to Man City, and as Marty said, they changed their system to come to Anfield. And he never does this. And he's right. Guardiola doesn't do this. Guardiola has decided that if he can take 2 draws against Liverpool, both at Anfield and the Etihad, he is of the belief that his squad is good enough to go and outdo Liverpool on the other 36 games of the league. He may be right. He may be right. He may be right. He may not be. People are saying and progression and stuff like that. As good as the Champions League run was last season, and it was a failure in the end, and we didn't get what we wanted. It catapulted us up a couple of levels where I think if we went out in the quarterfinals to the City or an unlucky semi-final loss, we could have, gone to say level 3 or level 4. We're right up level 5
We're
now.
eating at the top table now, yeah.
Yeah, and we're probably ahead of where we should be, realistically. But coupled with the Champions League and what we've spent, I suppose, on particularly the goalkeeper and the centre half, I think that's catapulted us to a level where the expectancy is huge, but there's always that fear there in Liverpool fans, and I understand it. It's 28 years since the league title, and people are afraid to fully commit themselves.
Come here, tell me this: does that fear transgress into the playing staff?
No.
Do you think that's why we can't get over the line?
No, I don't think it does. And to be honest with you, Liverpool as a club, as a fan base, and as a team, managers, staff, they should be looking at this going, as Marty said, this is, like someone said last week, this is a machine that we're playing against. We're a fucking machine. And start believing in yourself. We are a machine. If we're going out and we're doing 13 league games, 10 wins, 3 draws, that is very mechanically good, right? Okay, they have 2 points better off, but they're no better than they were last season. We are. All right?
Yeah.
And talking about other cups and stuff, the League Cup is gone. The FA Cup will all hinge on where we are come the first weekend in January. If we're right in the hunt, you can take the FA Cup and you can throw it in the nearest fucking bin because it's not going to happen. It simply is not going to happen. We're not going to risk nobody if we're right in this with Man City. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If we get to the end of March or middle of March or whatever, put whatever date that you want on it, and we're up City's arse or ahead of them or whatever, we are winning this fucking league, and it's as simple as that.
I can
say again, Gav. Say again.
No, we are. We're winning the league because, like,
if we're within 2 points coming February, March time,
we're in striking distance of them on the 1st of March. We win this league, and
and is that because of the kibosh that Klopp has over Pep?
I think it's because I think Klopp will revel in it. I think he'll have his players reveling in it, and I think it'll be a City squad that have had it easy in the Premier League. Right.
Love it, Gav, love it.
Yeah, no, they did. They had the league won by November last season, and everyone has talked them up as this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, we went out and beat Man City in the Champions League last season, right? We're a minimum of fuss. Let's be honest about it, right? And City City now must be looking going, they're one again.
When does it get to them? Exactly. When does it get to them when they come off the pitch yesterday after 4-0? How did Liverpool get on? They're fucking 3 now.
Yeah.
When does that get to them?
It'll get to them in March.
Or does it because they've won the league so many times?
No. It'll get to them in March when they turn around and go, yeah, we've won another game. So have they. And listen, the chaser will always break the fella in the front, not the other way around.
When do we play them at the edge?
3rd of January.
3rd of January, a bit too early.
Okay. It is a bit early, isn't it?
I was going to say, if we go there 2 points behind, right, that's when they will start fearing us and feeling us.
But come here, what happens if
they know? Because they know, no, Nilo, they know the only time they've beaten us in recent times is when we were down to 10 men.
Yeah, but tell me this: what happens if we shit ourselves and lose the league by a point this year? Right, lost the Champions League final the year before that, lost a European Cup Winners' Cup, whatever the fuck you call it nowadays, Europa League the year before that. When does that become a fucking issue? That with the current squad, and the current management team even saying we just can't get over the fucking line here. When does psychologically does that get the fuck you up?
I don't know if we lost the league by a point. I don't think that psychologically will become. I think another final loss will be more of a concern. Because people throw this at Klopp all the time.
So that's my point, that we need to win something.
You probably do need to win something. But look, come here. If you're asking me, do I want to win the FA Cup or have a right fucking good tilt at these in the Premier League, I'll take the Premier League tilt all day fucking long. Because I'm fully of the belief that when we listen, nobody causes uproar, right? And a furore and a carnival fucking sort of atmosphere than Liverpool fans chasing the league title.
But my thing is, fourth is as good as second. It's the same thing. You're still not winning.
Correct. So go all out. I think if we turn into the end of March and we're on them, and you'll see all buses being welcomed to Anfield, and the media will love it. You know, some parts of the media, I'm convinced, don't want us to win it or ever win it, but other parts will love it, and it'll be this romantic thing as we spoke about earlier. I think genuinely we can do these on the league, and they're not as they're a great side. Don't get me wrong, but putting them up, we never spoke to them as a machine last season. They're a machine and they're untouchable and they can't be got at. Now we are. And they're doing no better this season than they were last. I can't get it. But look, we could talk about this all night. I think we're about an hour and 15 minutes in. That's been the Fatback 4. It's probably something we can discuss a bit more on Twitter and you know, it cause all sorts.
I dropped the bomb there, Gav, didn't I? I dropped the fucking bomb. Nilo bomb.
Yeah, absolutely dropped the bomb. But look, that's been the Fatback 4. I'm Gav. That's Nilo. That's Grizz. That's Marty. Sorry, that's Keith. The lads will be back with you Wednesday after the PSG game. You'll have the cop table on Friday. We'll be back on Sunday. Have a good one. Enjoy your week. And always remember, lads, 20 more wins.